Let's now get in Saurabh joining us live from Dhaka to tell us more in terms of how things are looking. Saurabh, good to have you on the broadcast. You've been there last couple of days. You've been spending time in Bangladesh, speaking to all sides. What's the sense that you're getting first and foremost from the ground, the most important issue for the voters in these elections?
Well, since the morning at the main voting centres, there's been a considerable crowd and lines of voters who've been turning up to vote. Now, this is, of course, the polling booth where the Jamaat-e-Islami chief voted himself. There are also a lot of women voters who are turning up to vote. And voters, of course, are important. Now, if we could ask some of these voters also some questions. How important are these elections for you?
আমাদের ইলেকশন আজকে হচ্ছে আমরা যেহেতু বাংলাদেশের আমি বাংলাতেই বলছি যে আজকে আমাদের অনেক বছর পরে অনেক খুশির একটা দিন আমরা স্বাধীনভাবে ভোট দিতে পারছি এর চেয়ে বড় খুশি আর কিছুই হতে পারে না আমরা সবাই খুব খুশি এবং ভালোভাবে ইলেকশন হচ্ছে এবং সকাল থেকে আমরা সবাই খুব সুন্দরভাবে আমরা এনজয় করছি এবং ভোট দিচ্ছি জয় বাংলাদেশ
That's important. What she says is, of course, that that they've been voting since morning and that people are being allowed to vote, which they say is something that they appreciate. And using that right to vote, they, of course, will choose a new government. And that's so important because, remember, this is an election that's so important for so many reasons. Now, for so many years, the politics in Bangladesh was defined by a battle between two women. Begum Khaleda Zia, who led the BNP, and Sheikh Hasina, who led the Awami League. That has changed completely in this election. Now it's a battle between the Jamaat-e-Islami and the BNP, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. The BNP led by Tariq Rahman, the Jamaat led by Shafiqur Rahman. Both have cast their votes. Both seemed confident in the morning. Tariq Rahman, of course, said that security, protection of everybody, security of women would be his top priority. The Jamaat chief said he's also confident of the party's performance.
Indeed, whether it goes down to the wire and what really transpires after that is going to be extremely important. But Saurabh, one more thing I want to ask you is, you spoke to a very spirited voter who's, of course, very optimistic about the future of Bangladesh and should be. But this is also an election where you have a referendum as well, right? So there are two ballots. One, who's going to be the next prime minister? And those, of course, referendum, which is essentially Mohammad Yunus's legacy.
Absolutely. And the referendum, if it gets a yes vote, if the yes vote wins, then it is binding in a sense on Parliament to implement it. And that's something that's also going to be interesting because everyone here who's voting to elect a new government is also telling the government what direction it should take by means of that referendum, which has questions. And of course, the voter has to choose only yes or no. And this, of course, decides Bangladesh's future, tenure of prime minister, and all of these things, which, of course, is the path that Bangladesh will choose for the future. So, yes, the referendum is equally important because what it will do is it will give a kind of structure that the new government, whatever government is elected, will have to follow if the yes vote in the referendum wins.
Indeed. If that actually happens, that will, of course, be binding on whoever is the next Prime Minister of Bangladesh and will decide the framework in which the governance will take place. Thanks much, Saurabh, for filling us in with that perspective.